Hi there, my name is Brock Olive. We're looking at the country of Ecuador and brief summary of my top highlights that I uncovered during a extensive country study, including the economic indicators, the culture, the geography, and some of the other interesting features of Ecuador itself. Let's get right into it. One of the more interesting things about Ecuador actually is its geography. A lot of people don't realize that the Galapagos Islands, one of the world's most diverse and heavily concentrated areas of wildlife, is part of Ecuador. It is located just off the coast of Ecuador over here. This is a zoom in of the Galapagos Islands. We're looking back at Ecuador, mainland Ecuador rather. We can see here the capital city of Quito, and some of the other larger cities, including coastal cities of Manta, Salinas, Guayaquil, Cuenca, Loja. Something to note is that air travel is fairly inexpensive in Ecuador between the major cities. Um, for example, you can find flights between Manta and Quito sometimes for as little as $70 US. One of the other interesting features of Ecuador in terms of its geography is really its diversity in terms of the geography itself. Uh, the Galapagos Islands are a unique and diverse geography, really separate from anything else that you'll see in the world. Then along the coast, you'll have the coastal plain in Ecuador that actually tends to be quite dry um, in most of the year, except in the fall when you'll see the rainy season. In the Andes region, also known as the Sierra, the weather is quite temperate and cool, comfortable for Canadians, that's for sure. And just on the east side of the Andes, you have the Oriente, which is Amazon jungle region. That area is obviously quite humid and different than the other regions in the country. Another highlight of the research into Ecuador was really the culture and the people. If you look back in history at Ecuador, uh, back you can go back to late 1500s, 1600s when the Spanish settled Ecuador. The Spanish found a diverse network of different Aboriginal tribes located in all of the different regions of the country, except the Galapagos, which actually was not inhabited by humans. Ecuador has a very rich dance and music culture. Um, you can't go too far in Ecuador without running into some sort of street party where people are dancing and listening to local music, including the merengue um, and other types of music popular in the country. The art culture in Ecuador is also quite extensive and rich. There are a lot of Ecuadorian artists um, well known in the country uh, who are also well known outside of the country as well. The Ecuadorian economy itself is an interesting one. Um, when you look at Ecuador's economic diversity, it's really the GDP is really made up of only a few uh, economic drivers, mainly the export of produce, bananas, other fruits, and those types of items, and the export of oil. Ecuador also has a large fish export industry, specifically within its tuna fishing industry. The the current downturn in the oil and gas sector is having a dramatic impact on the Ecuadorian economy. It is hurting an economy like Ecuador in an outsized way because Ecuador is so reliant on oil and gas, and because it doesn't have a lot of excuse me, reserves, currency reserves, both at the national and private level. Another interesting item to note that was in 2000, Ecuador dollarized its currency, or it moved to the American dollar as its national currency and away from the sucre, which was the national currency before 2000. This decision was made by the Ecuadorian government as a result of financial instability and very ineffective banking system. After the introduction of the dollar, the economy did improve quite a bit and has remained quite stable and productive in the years since 2000. The tourism sector in Ecuador is really a sector that the country is looking towards for future growth, economic growth, and also a way to help develop the country and bring it much closer to a standard of living that you'll see in Canada or Europe. Ecuador is well known as a great ecotourism destination. It's also a very popular destination for retired expats looking for a lower cost quality of life or lower cost to life in general, and also more hospitable climates from the northern hemisphere, including North America and Europe. In terms of some of the recommendations made when looking at the tourism sector in Ecuador, really need to consider, um, you know, future growth in the country, and there's a lot of opportunity for infrastructure development, specifically the development of ecotourism resorts in any of the regions, really, other than the Galapagos, where that type of development is restricted. The coastal region is quite beautiful for people looking for um, beachfront type resort destinations. The Sierra, equally popular. So there's really some great opportunities for the development of ecotourism and all-inclusive resort destinations in Ecuador, given the relatively abundant sources of labor and low cost of doing business in Ecuador. Well, we'll leave it at that, and that should cap off the highlights. If you want to learn more about Ecuador, please read the extensive Ecuador Country Study Report. And thank you very much, and have a great evening. Bye-bye.